The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees are now convened in a regular board meeting on Monday, December 13th, 2021, in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center, located at 10300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas, at 6 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed meeting is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on Comcast Channel 16 and the district website. They will also be available as video on demand on the district website following tonight's meeting. For the video to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode, which I am going to do now, and I have. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our Community Leadership Committee members who are in attendance this evening, and when I call your name, if you would, please stand. Nancy Frankel, Hannah Lamb, Stacy Anderson, Ryan Irving. The invocation for tonight's board meeting will be given by Dr. Evelyn Ogletree, Executive Pastor of First Metropolitan Church, affectionately known as Lady O. Lady O's joy in life is spent speaking to all issues concerning today's women. She has a dynamic ministry to women of all ages and stages. Each year she leads the Women at the Feet of Jesus conference and has been the keynote speaker for conferences for women throughout the United States and abroad in Kenya, Africa, and Brazil. Lady O is a former teacher in HISD, Klein ISD, and Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. We thank you, Dr. Ogletree, for being here tonight. But I don't see her.
Yeah, she's here. She's over here. But we're going to read it.
Right. Before the invocation, I would like to introduce the Cypress Ridge High School AF-Jrotc cadets who will be presenting the colors this evening. Cadet Colonel Donnie Ho, 12th grade, Cadet Major, Corps Commander. Cadet Major Genevieve Thomas, 12th grade, Cadet Staff Sergeant Alessia Garcia, 10th grade, and Cadet Staff Sergeant Kyle Kaiser, 10th grade. These cadets present the colors to you under the direction of Hyder Khan, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force, retired. At this point, I would ask for you to please stand for the invocation first, and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everybody. Bow with me with the word for a word of prayer. Father God, we just thank you now for this day, God, and we just acknowledge your presence. for you are the creator of everything, heaven and earth, everything that is on there, you're even our creator. We humbly acknowledge you at this time. And God, we ask your presence at this board meeting. We ask that you would just bless the superintendent, God, the president, and all the board members, and all the teachers and people that we have given authority to take care of our children. And God, we ask that you would just give them wisdom, give them, God, the knowledge and the boldness to be loving, God, and to be able to train them up in the way that you have called them to go. That is your word, God, and we ask that you would just lead us and guide us, God, that so we may do a great job with your children, God. And we just thank you for the privilege of being able to be in the Seyfalls School District and to be in positions to be able to care for your children. Bless everybody in this district, God. Bless all the people that are here tonight, God, and let them look to you for direction and wisdom to be able to carry on this board meeting in a way that would be pleasing in your sight, and that this district will always be an opportunity for all, God. We thank you for it, and we ask your blessings. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Overguard, halt, post, be set, arms.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Ready, cut, post, forward, arms.
Please be seated.
Halt.
Board Member Debbie Blackshear will read the district's vision and mission statement for the benefit of the audience.
Our vision at Cypher ISD is formed from the acronym LEAD, to learn, empower, achieve, dream. LEAD. Our mission is to maximize every student's potential through rigorous and relevant learning experiences, preparing students to be 21st century global leaders.
The oath of office and the reorganization of the board was presented at the board work session on Thursday, December 9th, 2021. We will now proceed with the recognitions portion of the agenda. Dr. Henry will make remarks and announcements, including the honors and achievements earned by staff and students in recent weeks. Dr. Henry?
Thank you, Mr. President, trustees. Congratulations to students from Woodard Elementary School, Hamilton Middle School, and Cypress Woods High School who placed first in the annual Superintendent Holiday Card Contest. Winning designs were selected from more than 238 entries across 85 CFISD campuses. In the elementary school category, Woodard Elementary first grade student Nicole Wynn won Best of Show for her watercolor and acrylic paint piece titled Winter Visitor. In the middle school category, Hamilton Middle School 8th grade student Kate Zhao won Best of Show for her digital art piece titled Moonlight Magic. In the high school category, Cypress Woods High School senior Daniel Montefar won Best of Show for his digital art piece titled The Magic of Show. We certainly thank all of our students who participated in the contest, and congratulations again to our winners. The Bridgeland High School volleyball team completed a record-setting season in the state tournament, falling to eventual state champion San Antonio Brandeis in the state semifinal round on November 19th in Garland. This was the Lady Bears' first trip to the state tournament. Congratulations, ladies, and I was there along with many others, and certainly just the way they competed and the way they cooperated, everything that we want our students to learn in extracurricular activities was on full display. And kind of a sad, glad thing I'm going to finish with, John Taylor. John, raise your hand back there. Y'all turn around. Y'all can look at John. John Taylor is retiring from CFISD after 26 years and 28 total in education. He came to CFISD in August of 1996 as the coordinator of media technology. John helped build the district's public access channel, CFTV, Comcast Channel 16, and supported the high school AVP programs as an industry expert. John is a master at tinkering, repairing, and has one of the most creative minds, truly gifted at shooting and editing video. He has not missed a single board member meeting in 25 years in his position. This is more than 570 board meetings. But before I finish it up, I want to say John is truly a good Christian man. He's someone I've been proud to know the last 10 and a half years. Great family man, great father, great husband, and he's been a great colleague. John, congratulations.
Does that conclude your comments, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. Off script. John, I will not be at your retirement celebration. I will still be mired in class, picking up the last of my 10 hours of required continuing education. But know that my thoughts are with you, as well as my appreciation for all the service you have given to our district. Much appreciated. We will now proceed with the public comments portion of the agenda. Patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board and make public comments on an agenda item during or before the board's consideration of the item. The board may allow public comment on agenda items at all meetings. The board will continue with the remaining agenda after the registered patrons have had an opportunity to speak. And just to remind everybody, when our patrons come up to speak, you do have a time limit involved. When the yellow light comes on, you have 30 seconds to wrap up your comments. And when you're out of time, there will be a steady beep. It would be nice if we could play music like they do at the Oscars, but we aren't there yet. All we have is a beep. Our secretary, Gilbert Sarabia, will be in charge of the push button. So first is Monica Dean. Miss Dean.
Before you start my time, I just want to make a disclaimer that I will be spelling out some graphic language because I don't use this type of explicit language in my daily vocabulary.
And before we get started, which agenda item are you speaking on? That's
10C.
typically you say. And 10C is what?
It's for the safety and healthy environment on the campus improvement.
Oh, campus improvement plans. So your comment would need to be directed regarding the campus improvement plans, the specific campus improvement plans that were
For the
reviewed.
different high schools that I found.
Well, the campus improvement plans that were reviewed on Thursday. So it would be about that.
Yeah, it says about the
Because
safety and healthy
there isn't any
environment.
explicit language in the campus improvement plans. That's why I was seeking clarity.
Not in the plans, but what I have found in the campuses that are in
In the campus improvement plans?
On the campuses.
Well, ma'am, then you would need to be in citizen participation. This is about the specific agenda item, the campus
10C
improvement plans.
specifically said that it
The
talks
campus
about
improvement plans
for-
that we discussed on Thursday.
For the safety and healthy, I read it from 10C
Right, but
under
there's,
that agenda item.
and so it would be the items in the campus improvement plan. If you have a comment before the board adopts the campus improvement plan, so there's something that in the campus
So you
improvement
don't
plan.
want me to speak on an agenda item?
I'm just making sure that you're signed up in the right spot. Because
Well,
if
I
you're
read
speaking on
10C
something
and it
that's
talks
not a
about-
campus improvement plan, then you would not be signed up in public comment. You
So
would
if
need
I
to-
signed up for this and you're saying you don't even know what I'm going to talk about, do I just move to the citizen participation?
Well, I am basing it on what you said. You said you're going to use language that's explicit, that you were reading from the campus improvement plan, language, and there's not any explicit language in the campus improvement plan, so I thought maybe
I
you
don't
were
know
signed
the
up in the wrong
specific
spot.
improvement plan. It just talks about on the campuses to provide a safe and healthy environment, and what I'm going to talk about is in
And
regards
so
to that.
you're going to suggest something to be added to the improvement plan?
Not add.
But that's not the campus improvement plan. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the campus improvement plan is an agenda item, and
Okay,
so
if you
there
don't
was
want me to
something-
talk about this now, I would like to be moved, since I signed up and got here on time, I would like to be moved to the citizen participation.
I think citizen participation is full. You can, I believe, because I think they had a drawing, but I've not. And this is a meeting of, this is a meeting of the board. It's not a meeting of the public. And so I'm going to ask you to please be respectful.
So what do you do in situations where I've already signed up for something and
Well,
now?
but ma'am, you would need to sign up for, if you're signing up for public comment, it needs to be
for
a
both places?
You would sign up for citizen participation if you're not speaking on a specific agenda
But
item.
I am, 10C, on the safety and healthy environment of our campuses.
But you said you don't even know what's in the campus improvement plan.
I'm just speaking about the different campuses.
But if you're just speaking about the different campuses, that's not the campus improvement plan.
Okay,
That's
so can
my
you move me
point.
to the citizen participation?
Not this month, but I can next month.
Well, check out the language and just, could you take the language out?
Yeah, we want to hear what she has to say.
I don't even know what she's going to talk about. I just understand it's not about the campus
You
improvement
could let
plan.
me talk and you would find out.
Well, that's why I started asking you when you said, I'm going to use explicit language, and that's why I was making sure you were in the right spot.
It's a few words that I don't personally say, so I was going to spell them out. I'm just giving you a disclaimer. I guess maybe I shouldn't have said that and went on with my speech. I was being respectful.
And I appreciate that, and I'm trying to reciprocate, and so that's why I'm seeking clarity on what you're speaking about, because the campus improvement plans are targeted objectives, and then there's goals under each, and so the point of public comment is to share anything that you would like the board to consider prior to taking action on that item. And so if there's something, I'm just trying to help direct you to
Okay, so can you add me to
speaking
the
of-
other part? Because I would like my chance to speak. Since I got here on time and signed up, I would like a chance. So
Did you
could
sign up for
add-
citizen participation?
I signed up for this one. If I'd have known I was supposed to sign up for both because I might not be able to speak, I would have done that.
And I believe there were more. That's the reason I'm saying I saw them doing numbers, so that would lead me to believe they were full. And I answered someone else's question earlier, and it was my understanding that they were full. But, ma'am, if you were speaking on I'm trying to direct you to speak on the campus improvement plan.
I'd like to hear it, really bad. I want to know
If
what,
somebody wants to give up their spot in citizen participation, I guess I should have signed up for that.
well, if the kids are hearing obscene language, I'd like to know. We should be able to hear it if the kids hear it.
So you're not speaking on the campus improvement plan. You wanted to speak about campuses in general. And that would not be part of the campus improvement plan. I'm not trying to dissuade you from speaking. We have rules about who speaks and when.
Our next speaker is David Barker.
And sir, what agenda item are you speaking on?
10H,
And which one is that?
that's the properties.
The sale of
The sale of the property
the
on
excess
Winford?
property?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, I'm David Barker. I'm a precinct chair of 126, which includes a portion of CFISD. As an elected official, I'm here to represent the parents and taxpayers within my precinct. I'm addressing agenda item 10H. It relates to the sale of 6.2 acres on Winford in Northwest Houston. This property is part of a large campus that includes the stadium, Campbell Hyatt Middle School, food services, and transportation for Cyfair. Why is a property adjacent to such a large campus considered excess? There is a likelihood that this property will be needed in the future. It should be retained. Once sold, it will be much more expensive to replace. Even if it were to be sold, the Board of Cyfair has fiduciary responsibility to the parents and taxpayers to sell the property for market value. This is good quality commercial property. HCAD values for adjacent properties are between $3 and $5 a square foot. This is being sold at less than $1 a square foot. Why did the board accept this sale on one bid of $250,000 when its market value is in excess of $800,000? Did Cyfair use a commercial realtor to list this property? Why does it appear that the appraisal was done after the bid? Who contracted the appraiser? Why would the appraiser so undervalue the property at $112,000? Is the appraiser an uninterested party? Did the fact that Trustee Blackshear sits on both the board of Cyfair and also on the board of the buyer have any influence on this decision? Finally, Cyfair is not a charity. It is not acceptable to de facto gift parents and taxpayer property to another entity. The loss of this property for future expansion and services or the sale for less than market value steals valuable resources from our parents and students. Based on all this information, the parents and other taxpayers deserve a full accounting of all real estate transactions for the last 20 years. Thank you.
The next speaker is Dr. Tara Cummings.
And I'm going to be speaking on Tennessee, the campus improvement plans for real. Hi, I'm Dr. Tara Cummings. I'm a parent and a member of Cyfair's. I'm a parent and member of Cyfair Civic Alliance. I want to thank Dr. Ashley Claiborne for her very helpful presentation on campus improvement plans last week at the work session, and also thank the district for their transparency in posting every single campus's proposed improvement plans on the website for the community's review. It's so important that each campus have its own individualized improvement plan, given that strengths and needs vary from campus to campus. And as Mr. Jackson alluded to during the work session, it's crucial that the specific goals and objectives within each plan be both tailored and feasible for each specific campus. Because a target for a particular academic proficiency set at, say, 97% on one campus may not be appropriate or achievable for another campus. So I was really glad to see that they are specifically tailored to each campus. It's also imperative for us to develop a thorough and accurate understanding of the relative differences and disparities in the strengths and weaknesses across our campuses. Without such an understanding, improvement plans are doomed to be incomplete and off the mark. I believe that the pending equity audit results have the key to such an understanding and to ensuring that our future campus improvement plans are optimized for effectiveness and equity. I anticipate that the data will provide important information around why particular campuses have greater needs for improvement than others, and I further anticipate that systems-level inequities account for some of the disparities that we see across campuses. It's my understanding that the results of the equity audit are slated to be shared after the holidays. I'm very much looking forward to those results, and going forward, I urge the district to utilize the data to better address our current disparities and gaps, to begin to work toward equity, and to fully honor and embrace the incredible diversity of our district and community. Thank you.
We will now proceed with the board comments portion of the agenda. I'm going to start to my right. Scott?
First off, I'd like to revise and extend my remarks from last time. My wife reminded me that I forgot to, when my mother-in-law and my mom were here, to thank them for being teachers in the district. I'm going to see them during Christmas and I might be in trouble. So my mom was a teacher of DISD for over 40 years, and I want to thank her for her service. And my mother-in-law was a teacher actually here in Cyfair, so thank her for her service. So I got that done. So good. I get some turkey for Christmas. Thank you. I want to thank first the people of Cyfair for the very great privilege of taking this seat. I also want to thank God, too, as well, for all of his praise and thanks as well. To my wife, I want to thank her as well for all the sacrifice she made during this campaign. My 3 kids, my daughter who was very sick during the campaign and was in the hospital for almost 2 months. My wonderful friends and family, and the voters. In my campaign team, my tireless volunteers, and my sincere, heartfelt thanks and gratitude for those people. But along this journey, I met so many different people. I met Lee McLeod from Tomball, who is a great mentor of mine, who's a trustee there. I've met Martha Dixon, who's a great trustee over in Humble. I've met John Welch from Lamar. I've met a gentleman from Little Elm. I've met lots of different trustees along this way who've given me some great advice. Of course, I've met great people here as well. But a lot of them have the same thing in common. They're parents who really have a desire to make a change, a difference for the children. And they want to serve their community and make a difference. And we all saw that across the country. If we all saw that kind of the surge we saw across the country. And the voters spoke really boldly and loudly like never before. And that's what we saw in the turnout like we saw here in the board races. And they really expect us to hold those commitments to our community. I think we can all get around some very common goals, which is really the values that we have within Cy-Fair, right? Which those values are transparency back to our community, which is around governance and accountability, respecting family boundaries. I think those are very common. Focusing on academics. I think those are pretty things that we can focus on, right? One thing I heard loud and clear, which was around curriculum. In fact, I heard one parent said, I'd like to be able to work on math again with my kid, which is so difficult nowadays. And one thing I heard very loud and clear from teachers, which was bringing back respect in the classroom for teachers, providing them with the necessary tools so they feel empowered again, so they can better connect with teachers, with students again. You know, when I moved here over 20 years ago, we were the crown jewel of the region, and we still are. Don't get me wrong, but things have changed so dramatically within this district. We have to develop. We have to evolve. Because let's be honest, it's changed in 20 years quite dramatically. We have competition in our own back door. In fact, we heard of a new private school cropping up at our own back door now. And we have to, quite frankly, we have to evolve as well. And the great thing is we have the right administration. And we have some of the best teachers, quite frankly, in the world right here in Cy-Fair. I look forward to working with this new board. I look forward to working with this great administration we have in place. I look forward to working with the taxpayers as well. But most importantly, I look forward to working with our students for them, because they're the most important things I'm going to work for. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Natalie?
Thank you, Tom. I want to offer my sincere appreciation to the voters of CFISD for their support, and I do pledge to represent your voice, your choice, and your values on this board. First, I want to speak to the teachers of CFISD, the most important resource that we have and the true heart of our school district. Teachers like Kylie Hall, Mary Bunovich, Dr. Cameron Croson, John Reed, Anthony Rangel, Andrew Sy at Langham Creek High School, and librarian Tony Williams at Aragon. Teachers who got out of their way to teach with excellence and build positive relationships with their students. Teachers like them represent the best of our district, the amazing teachers in our schools, and I pledge to honor our teachers in my decisions and to work to bring joy back to our profession. I also want to publicly affirm my commitment to all the students and to unity. I've spent a career loving and serving all students, from diverse cultures, backgrounds, faith traditions, etc., with excellence. And I won't stop now. I will hold myself and all of CFISD stakeholders to high expectations for each, not all, but each student in CFISD. I do not support the resolution of equity, which calls our district, and by virtue of the staff and students, systemically racist. I don't support theories that divide us. I pledge to fight for equality of opportunity and make sure every student in CFISD is growing and reaching their full potential, and I know that we can do that together. I also want to make a statement about our curriculum. By my definition, all material that is district created, purchased, or provided for free to the teachers of our of our district is our curriculum. And I pledge to make sure all aspects of our curriculum are vetted for our community values, honor parents and our nation, and do not teach students ideologies that cause them to not like each other and that do not match those of their home. I also want to appreciate our campaign team, the many, many volunteers who gave of their time and treasure to engage voters. We had to work longer and harder to overcome some fundraising from our incumbent PAC. And many of those dollars came from outside of CFISD, including thousands of dollars from individual employees of companies who are vendors to this district on contracts that come before this board for votes. I hope that we can address campaign finance or board ethics reform, ensuring that trustees must abstain from voting on agenda items from firms who funded their election or re-election campaign through a PAC or individual contribution. The voice of the community members and parents of CFISD must be elevated in the election process. Last, but clearly not least important, I want to thank God for the opportunity to serve Him in our community. I pledge before God to uphold His standards and purposes above all politics, and pressures. God loves the little children and the big ones too. And I pledge to protect their hearts and minds in the educational process. Please hold me accountable to these pledges and find my direct email address and phone number available to be shared with you. I hope to serve you very well.
Gilbert.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. First of all, I want to welcome our new trustees. Welcome, guys. We hope to be working with you guys as a good team here and stuff like that. So, welcome. Also, I was out and about this past month. I did see around some of the campuses, after encouragement from our superintendent, that I could go by and see some of the athletic facilities without having to look overbearing. So I did, and they look magnificent. Roy, the construction going up around the athletic facilities are just outstanding. Can't wait to envision that first throw if it comes on behalf of the trustees, as we did last year and stuff. So it looks great. Also, this weekend, we hosted the CFISD basketball invitational for men's basketball, and I took in quite a few games there. I got to see Cy Park, got to see Seyfalls, Cy Lake, Cy Ridge, Cy Fair. I probably left out a couple, Cy Ranch. The main thing what I saw throughout the district was representation of our staff and our athletic directors throughout the area and support and running a huge tournament, not only local and out of city state ranked teams coming in to play. I believe our Seyfalls Eagles lost in the finals, is that right, to state ranked McKinney by 1, and Coach Flores has a wonderful program over there at Seyfalls. They did an outstanding job. What I also saw was our focusing on our coaches and our we have a lot of coaches. And I was trying to see how many coaches we had per team, and they were into every bit that they could get. I mean, from the days when we used to bounce the ball. I mean, Cy Fair had 2 guys that were 6'9" or 6'10". Cy Lakes had another guy that was 6'10", and I was just like astounded by the athletic ability of the 6'10" guys being able to dribble and shoot from afar like a guard. And it was just really, really good thing to see the community involvement throughout the area. Coach Ament, did I say it right, Teresa? Coach Ament, he threw the tournament. He's the ex-basketball coach from Langham Creek. And so he did a great job of hosting the event, as did Coach Cepeda and his rest of the athletic directors throughout the area. So I want to commend them on a well-run, recognized men's basketball tournament. And hopefully we can get the ladies involved with the tournament. I know we don't have one per se right now for the ladies, but hopefully we can get them involved. They seem to travel and do their business traveling and stuff. I think it's a time directive Coach Flores was talking about. So, but hopefully we can get them involved at the same time. But seeing the kids out and about, so much different than a year ago. Oh, so much different. And seeing the talking with gentlemen and ladies from abroad, and of course bragging about our district and everything else. Again, thank you everybody for showing up. Our educators and our students, I want to wish them a Merry Christmas, safe travels to all, and to you guys as well. Thank you, Tom.
So let's move to the left. Lucas?
Thank you. So first of all, again, to my wife who's watching, I just want to say thank you very much, honey. Her support before and during the campaign was invaluable, and for all the days and nights and weekends that she allowed me to come and participate in this effort. She supports our board completely. She's 100% behind all the activities that we're going to be going through together. She's my biggest cheerleader, and I'm her biggest cheerleader. So I love you, honey. For all the people that came aside, myself, Scott, Natalie, during our campaign, thank you. I can't begin to list all the names, but we see all the faces. And it was truly humbling to have people come alongside the simple vision that we cast to reflect the values of our community and to support the collaborative nature of this board with our parents, taxpayers, teachers, students. And we're grateful to have the opportunity to do so. I will continue to work with our community. My objectives, right? Some things that were very important to me. I was a teacher. My undergrad is in education. And throughout my education in the Houston area at University of Houston and at Rice University, as a clinician, I taught in our fine arts programs. And during that time, and as a band director at May Creek High School and Junior High, I worked on managing classrooms. I know it's important to our teachers. And so one of the reasons it became important to me to run was to help support our board, support our teachers, and enhance and support the management of the classroom, to give our teachers the tools that they need and support Deborah and team in enabling them with the tools that they need to do the things they want to do. So I heard it over and over in our campaign trail. We have opportunity to improve, and I will support that vigorously. Focus on academics, we can all agree on those, and we've done such a great job. We have students that, and as I was a clinician, I had students that were on the low end of the socioeconomic curve in different high schools, and students that were on the high end. And I focused on challenging my students where they were and giving them something that they could feel successful about doing where they were. And so, this notion of equality, my focus in that point is to make sure that all of our students have a challenge that's reasonable for where they are, and that they have an opportunity to grow, they have an opportunity to be inspired, and in so doing, that they become the better person that they hope to be. So I look forward to working with our admin, our teachers, our staff, to be able to make that goal come to life and continue to grow. And lastly, safety, creativity. Our students need to be focused on our academics, and we need to make sure that messages in the classroom encourage, empower them without diminishing others, if I can say it that way. And so I'm committed to that. And I look forward to fostering creativity and giving all of our students, athletes, our student musicians and artists those opportunities to make them some of the best in the nation. I know exactly what that means. And I look forward to continuing to work with all of our fine arts programs and giving them the tools that they need in our wonderful and very rich community that's even outside the school district, the ability to have new ideas and new ways of doing things. And so working with Rice University, etc. So I'm a collaborative leader, and I look forward to finding a way to sit down and building a strong feedback loop between this board, our administration, our community, and our parents, and our teachers. And we will find ways to improve, and together we will work towards those goals. And we'll be very transparent with them as we do. So I thank you, and I look forward to working with this team.
Debbie.
Yes. Well, I'm certainly excited to hear the comments tonight from my fellow trustees, because it's clear that we all want to work towards the same goal, and it's a goal that we have been striving for. One of the reasons I ran for the school board, I guess it was 6 years ago now, is because of the quality education of our district, and we all want to ensure that our students receive the same quality education, and that our district remains the top provider of that education in our area and in our state. It's a great district. I've always said I love my school district, and my two boys and my 5 grandchildren now my boys grew up at Cypress High School and Lambkin and Arnold, and my grandkids have attended Cypress schools from day one, and all are receiving quality education. We're not perfect, but we are always striving for perfection. And I would also like to say that if you don't know me, you know that my passion is for education and for kids in our community. And that is why I ran for the school board. It's why I serve as a trustee on the Cypher Educational Foundation. And it's why I serve as a trustee of Sci Hope. And I have never, nor would never, use my position as trustee to influence anything regarding any of those organizations. I want to say to John Taylor, I think he's ducked back in, but John, congratulations on your retirement. Also, for those who don't know me, I was at Cypher Federal Credit Union for 28 and a half years. There he is. And the last 18 and a half is serving as president. And John, thank you for your service to our district. I mean, you know, everywhere you go, you see John and his camera, whether it's at a school activity, a function, whether it's at a football game, a basketball game. Salute to our stars, salute to our heroes. John has been just such a stalwart in this district and provided such a valuable service to our district as we were growing. And John, it's been a pleasure knowing you and working with you through the years, whether it was at the credit union or more lately of the school district, but just want you to know how much we love and appreciate everything you've done, both for this district and for our students. And then finally, in closing, I want to wish all of our Cypher ISD family and community a very Merry Christmas. I know it's been another interesting start to the school year, and I remember last year when we were at this point, and just so thankful we had made it through the first semester without having to shut down a school because our safety standards in the school were good and they were working, and we did so successfully throughout the school year. And just to let our staff know how much we appreciate what you do every day. The job has never been as challenging as it has since the beginning of the pandemic. And, you know, everyone has done great. Whatever the kids needed, they have done. And Natalie, there's a whole list of teachers we could talk about who have just been real rock stars throughout this pandemic and continue to do so. It's definitely a profession you have to love, for sure. And just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a safe and healthy and Happy New Year.
Julie.
Thank you. First, I want to welcome the newly elected trustees to the board. I encourage you all to begin your terms with open minds and open hearts as you learn about governance and about our great district. While it's a huge responsibility and can be overwhelming sometimes, speaking from personal experience, it's an honor to serve our diverse community. I look forward to working with each of you and together as a team of 8. I was a weekly volunteer in my daughter's elementary school for 7 years. Truly one of my favorite places to volunteer was in the library. I worked the morning shift, so I got to be there for the pledges and the moment of silence to say prayers for teachers and students and to celebrate birthdays. The library is truly the heart of our schools. Helping kids find a just right book, just right meaning for their reading level and for their interest, was a highlight of my week. For many kids, the library and their teachers' classrooms are the sole source of their books. In elementary school and middle school, my kids loved to read, and they read for pleasure. They didn't play video games or watch much TV, but they read a lot. Once they were in high school, not so much. How they spent their time evolved to spend more with friends and activities and their phones and just too busy than with books. But when they were assigned books or allowed to select a book from a list of options, I always tried to read the book too, even if it was after the project was over so that we could talk about it. I have been pleased by the books my children have been exposed to and have learned alongside them about characters with very different experiences from ours, as well as found similarities in our own life experiences. Our school libraries are managed by highly educated, well-trained professionals who are devoted to supporting the educational process of students. While the standard curriculum is driven by the TEKS as set by the State Board of Education, and there are instructional materials that are specific to those TEKS, libraries offer other sources of enrichment. These books are optional. They're to be selected by students with guidance from their parents and teachers. Are all books in libraries just right books for all students? No, of course not. But all students with guidance from their parents and their teachers should have the right to find just right books for themselves. When I was in middle school, I actually wanted to be a librarian. Like my kids, I love to read, and I spent a lot of time in the school and the local public library in my little town. Now libraries are often busy places filled with technology and social gatherings. I actually get to eat lunch once a week in one of our high school libraries with a student that I mentor. Many students spend their lunch break in the library reading, talking with friends, meeting with mentors, and getting extra help from support staff. I share all this to encourage parents and community members and state legislators who are concerned about the books provided in schools and public libraries to talk directly with librarians and with school leaders and with students. Learn about the formal process of how books are selected, reviewed, and if necessary, removed by our professional librarians. The best way to learn about our libraries is to volunteer in one. I've had several school visits over the past month. Highlights include helping parent volunteers decorate for a fun family night at Adam Elementary, looking at the amazing student art that's on display at Cy Ranch. I got to go to a theater rehearsal at Cy Ranch. I got to observe a literary circle discussion led by students at Cy-Fair High School, and it was phenomenal, the respect and intelligence on display in this high school English class. The Hour of Code at Danish Elementary School Library is phenomenal. These kids are coding using bots and robots, and it was incredible what they could do at such a young age. The learning experiences and resources being offered to the kids at Danish are just incredible, and I love to see that growth taking place. I also got to meet a teacher at Adam who is celebrating her 40th year teaching at Adam Elementary School. That's incredible. I met several new teachers who started as paras, and they fell in love with teaching, so they've actually gotten their certification and are now full-time teachers. I've had two key learnings so far from my school visits. One, principals are so very proud of their schools and of their teachers. Every principal I talk to beams with pride and brags about their teachers. Teachers, please know your principals think that you are amazing, and they love you and they appreciate you. The second key learning so far has been that this has been a hard semester. Kids are having a challenging time adapting to being back in person and to being held accountable for their academic requirements and their behavior. The pandemic has had a weird effect on student behavior, and it's taking some time to adjust to being back in a group setting at school. As Principal Godbolt told me right before this meeting, Godbolt told me, we just have to love them, right? We're just gonna have to love them through this as they adjust to getting back in school and being together. A friend of mine has a student in elementary school who will be going back in person in January for the first time since March of 2020. She has been out of school for almost 2 years. She's excited and happy to go back, but it's going to be an adjustment for sure. So teachers and parents, we will need lots of patience and grace for each other. I've also had some amazing interactions recently with community members. I got to spend time at a football game with the mom and dad of a 9th grader who has more school spirit than anyone I've ever met. I'm inspired by his resiliency and joy for life and for school in spite of significant health challenges. When I think of opportunity for all, I think of students like him who may struggle with physical or learning challenges, yet have every right to achieve their educational goals. I was invited to the Seyfalls High School Orchestra winter concert by the parents of a student who was friends with my youngest daughter in middle school. The girls went to different high schools, so they sort of lost touch. But these parents reached out to me and asked me to come see her senior orchestra concert. I'm so impressed by the talents of our fine art students and the quality of their instructors, who are often exceptional performers themselves. I got to visit with the mom of a 5th grader who needed to interview an elected official for Scouts. A bonus is that she's also a teacher in the district. I enjoyed answering his questions and chatting with him and his mom. As I always say, our future is in good hands. I also cheered for the Seyfalls basketball team in the finals at the Cy Hoops Invitational this past weekend. A highlight was talking with one of the players on the team. He was part of a group of freshmen that we mentored, a group of high-risk kids that I mentored when he was a freshman. And now he is one of the star basketball players on one of the top basketball teams in the state. And I'm so proud to see all that he has accomplished. And it's another reminder that those extracurricular activities are so important for kids. It gives them a place in school. It teaches them accountability. It teaches them goal setting. It gives them pride. And so the extracurricular activities are so very important for our kiddos, whether it's athletics or fine arts. And also, being a mentor to students can be incredibly rewarding for both the student and the mentor. Mentoring a student is a great way to better understand the issues that our students are facing every day. Finally, I just want to say Merry Christmas and best wishes to all for a new year filled with love, friendship, good health, and peace.
A few years ago, I stopped and visited a church, and the pastor of that church suggested that I pray with him, and so I did. It was not what I wanted for the district, but to pray for what was my purpose. No voices came to me, but I will, as I shared with him, and I haven't shared with many others, that an image of a bridge came to my mind, and I thought, who wants to be a bridge? All that happens is people walk on you. But perhaps a bridge can serve other purposes as well. I made all my normal stops as I typically do. One that I would like to highlight is I was invited to a Jrotc military banquet to speak, which is unusual because they almost never do that. What they didn't know is that at their very first one, I was invited to speak, and I found the words that I used, and they were good then, and they were good now. I remain a strong supporter of this program. It doesn't matter which one I go to. It is emblematic of my support for all of them. It is a program that looks to develop citizens who are leaders, who by their mission statement are committed to serve their community and our country. My various conduits in different school districts around the country have been reduced for various reasons. However, I still hear from teachers in other districts. And although we all know that academically our students may have lost anywhere from half a year up to 3 or 4 academically, I also hear that they have lost anywhere from half a year to 3 or 4 in terms of social functioning. And so I'm well aware that our teachers and our campus leadership are all stretched by their capacity to love our children. I went to another personal item, and I really don't do this very much. I went to my cousin's memorial service, and a young teacher praised her because before Laurie would present content, she made an effort to make a connection with the students, and she taught at a school that was full of opportunities. But her approach was she looked at all of them with love, so much so that that high school where I graduated from dedicated one of their halftime performances to her this past fall. But it reminded me that our teachers do the exact same thing, going above and beyond, and I just wanted to say thank you to our teachers in that regard as well. After our Thursday night meeting, I did visit with senior management, but also touch base with each of our trustees. We will revisit the resolution at the first of the year. We've never done this before. I will be visiting with council to see exactly how do we go about it, but we will revisit. many people have different interpretations of what's written. The words are there, and the words are, in fact, specific. We will revisit it come the January time period. Other than that, I want to say welcome to the new trustees. A challenge I have for all of us. This board twice has been named the outstanding school board in the state of Texas. It is a worthy goal. I think the 7 of us are up to the task. And we are judged by our peers across the state to be able to reach that goal. So I welcome our peer review as we strive to that. And I wish happy holidays to all of our students, our staff, our campus leadership, and our senior leadership as well. So I thank you. We've taken a little more time than normal with board comments, but that's okay. I think we all had something important to say. And let's now proceed on with the agenda. The next part of the agenda is citizen participation. Patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board regarding matters of concern or interest to the district other than the character of any student, staff, or board member. The board may not act upon any matter that is not listed under the action item portion of the agenda. And so the first on my list is Stacy DeMeyer.
Am I free to start? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Stacy DeMeyer, and I am a parent in Cypher ISD. I wanted to speak tonight about Jewish representation or lack of it in our district. But first, I want to praise and thank my children's music teacher, Miss Pfeffer, I hope they pronounced that name right, at Keith Elementary. During Hanukkah, Miss Pfeffer included a segment on dreidels in her class for that week. This made my children so happy because it's not common for them to see their Jewish culture represented outside of our home. To those teachers who strive for inclusion in their classrooms, thank you. For the most part, though, being Jewish in this district comes with certain inconveniences. For example, because Jewish holidays are not a part of our district's calendar, my children end up missing schoolwork in order to observe their holidays. Another example is the inclusion of a Christian prayer before every school board meeting, a prayer that I'm happy to stand for out of respect, and I was especially happy to stand for Lady O tonight. I am a reasonable person, and I do not expect the district to accommodate the small number of Jewish students that it has. I completely understand why certain things are the way that they are. I do, however, draw the line at recent anti-Jewish events that have taken place in Cypher ISD. I draw the line at the villainizing of the ADL, a group that was founded by Jews to fight anti-Semitism after the Holocaust. I also draw the line at board members running a campaign on Christian values and implying that the others are somehow inferior. We have seen the mailers and flyers, and we are appalled. This school district serves the public. Cypher ISD has Muslims, Hindus, Jews, agnostics, atheists, and many others. This is not a Christian school district. I and many others are watching closely to make sure that this district remains a district for all students, regardless of their religious background. And I am prepared to hold board members accountable if needed. Thank you for your time and service.
Next on my list is Joanna Smith.
I didn't expect to be coming so soon because I know it was about 10 people who were supposed to be in front of me, and I was prepared to wait. Actually, I am working in Cypress ISD. I'm a business teacher, but I kind of substitute. And I'm here today to speak about some things that are happening in the community, and I think the board needs to be informed on this because it's going to affect your numbers as well. We're going to have students who probably will be leaving the school system because what we have is a scam going on. And unfortunately, we get people who are in positions of power and they take advantage of people who don't have power. What we have is attorneys who are coming into neighborhoods. I don't know if most of y'all remember the 2008 housing crisis. And during the 2008 house crisis, a lot of people lost their homes. What happened is the developers left. They didn't do the HOAs correctly, and they just stopped. I guess they didn't get money from the bank, so they stopped. Well, these attorneys are coming into the neighborhoods now in the community, acting as if they were the developers. They're foreclosing on these individuals' homes. If you go to the Harris County District website and look up Bear Creek Meadows, which is part of your school system as well, you would see default judgment, foreclosure. And I was just in a state of shock. So I went to the Secretary of State to find out who these attorneys were. And I found out that most of these HOAs have been revoked. That means that they are dissolved. And they're coming in, setting up fake elections. And when they set up a fake election, and then they would send notices to the parent that they hadn't been paying their HOA when there was really no HOA ever established. So I have contacted the FBI. I have contacted our Attorney General, who said get out into the community, let the community know that this is happening. I'm going through different schools. Tomorrow I'll be speaking with Judge Hidalgo's office as well. I am a Master of Public Policy. I also have a Master's in Business Management and Leadership. So I understand compliance very well.
Ms. Smith, please conclude your comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's time. Okay, so I just wanted you guys to be aware of what's going on.
Our next speaker is Tamara Shanklin, and please correct me if I mispronounced your name.
Thank you, and I'm Tamara Shanklin. I graduated from at Cypher High School, and I'm currently an employee at Cypher High School. And I want to thank the board and Dr. Henry and Ms. Martin, our wonderful principal, and our staff, and amazing school and district. Thank you. So I have written a poem that I wanted to present to Dr. Henry. Our phenomenal and renowned superintendent, written especially for Dr. Mark Henry. The past 2 years have been more formidable and challenging than ever known. Life has immensely changed in ways that were unforeseen. Everyone had to matriculate days vastly incommensurable. CFISD has been exceedingly blessed through the attainments of our phenomenal and renowned superintendent. He's amazing in indeterminately indefinite ways, even on his most arduous days. He always has a prodigious smile on his face, as daily he leads CFISD with utmost grace. He's continually extending Christ's love and peace to all he knows and meets. He transcends all expectations through his perseverance, vigilance, and humility. He fervently embraces every day. To him, every day is the Lanyap way. His spirit unceasingly emboldens every child every day. His heart is filled with so much love and compassion that's discernible to all. He brings out the best in all of us through his astounding devotion to all students and staff in all 92 schools. He's always enriching our lives through H2O. He affords the freedoms for all to thrive. He has left a lasting legacy that shall eternally withstand all who supervene. CFISD shall forever be grateful for all of his remarkable contributions to our district and communities. Thank you, Dr. Henry.
We are not kin either.
Our next speaker is Kathleen Scherer.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Scherer, and I'm a member of the Cy-Fair Civic Alliance.
I'm here to praise our CFISD teachers and to advocate for continued support from the board. Our teachers frequently work well beyond their contract time to ensure students have the best possible educational experience. CFI teachers plan innovative lessons, tutor after school, create beautiful classroom environments, call home to update parents on their child's progress, grade assignments, meet with colleagues to collaborate, and catch up on paperwork for their special populations, just to name some of the tasks that they pour their personal time and energy into. The job is so demanding that our teachers often must choose between being present for their own children and for the children they serve. When I stop to think about the commitment and dedication it takes to be a public school teacher, I am filled with gratitude, but I am also concerned. Between the challenges of teaching during COVID and the hostility and fear-mongering around Jrotc, civics, and book lists, we will continue to experience an ever-declining teacher morale and worsening shortage. Our previous board made sure our teachers received raises and COVID leave. Work days were built into the calendar to give teachers more opportunities to plan and grade, and I am so appreciative of those efforts. I call upon our new board to continue this work so that our teachers know how much we value them. Let's treat them with respect. Let's compensate them fairly. Let's recognize their efforts. Let's be careful not to make a tough job an impossible one. Our teachers' working conditions are our children's learning conditions. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Melissa Rowell.
I want to welcome the new trustees and congratulate the president, Mr. Jackson, and thank all those who's serving. I'm a proud mom of 2 Cy-Fair graduates. I noticed at the board meetings I've been attending that the Texas flag is brought out, but we are not reciting the Texas pledge. So I would like to see that happen, since it is the law and the district should be an example for the schools. The current student handbook, page 75, discusses both pledges and the minute of silence compliance with the Texas Education Law, section 25.082. Subsection B requires both U.S. and Texas flags to be displayed in the classrooms and for students to recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Pledge to the Texas flag each day. And of course, as protocol, we stand for the pledges. Students need a parent note to opt out. Subsection D says, the school district board of trustees shall provide for the observance of 1 minute of silence at each campus following the reciting of the pledges of allegiance. During the 1 minute period, each student may, as they choose, reflect, pray, meditate, or engage in any other silent activity. Each teacher in charge of students during that period shall ensure that each of those students remains silent and does not act in a manner that is likely to distract another student. Given all that, I am wondering, how are the schools or the district keeping teachers accountable of complying with the law? Do some schools even have the full minute of silence, or is that time shortened? Are there teachers that don't recite or stand for the pledge? Teachers should be the example. Do teachers teach or let students talk during the minute of silence, or do they require silence? We say the pledges out of respect, and being respectful is a character trait we definitely want our students to have. We also need to be complying with the law. Thank you.
This will be a challenge, and so I will apologize for mispronouncing your name before I even attempt. Our next speaker is Ase Indiamau. And so before you speak, please tell me how to properly pronounce your name.
It's Aisha Indemeo.
Aisha. Wait, I can do this. Aisha in DeMayo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tonight, I want to address the parents. Did you know you can view your child's Schoology from your own device? I think all parents should be interested in doing this because of the story I'm about to tell. When I told several teachers this story, they all had the same reaction. Their eyes almost popped out of their heads. Our Cypher ISD General Counselor's response was that it was a normal teacher behavior. Please be the judge, parents, and board too. Here's the story. I spent the last 3 to 4 months finding out if a parent can log into the Home Access Center and view their children's Schoology. I went to weekly appointments at my children's elementary school to view lessons, where the principal said I would get the lessons and there would be a computer provided. The only thing given to me at these appointments were things outside of Schoology. While confused, I still continued to ask for Schoology lessons and even brought in the chief of staff on the emails with the principal because she was so helpful in listening to my concerns. Still, week after week, no Schoology lessons. The IT desk told me twice that Schoology is, quote, not a service provided to parents. I decided to ask one of the all of my kids' teachers the course code for Schoology to see if that would work. Some gave me the code, most ignored me outright, but one did something very strange. She deleted her entire Schoology. Deleted it. From day one, everything was gone. Her entire system of record for what she taught all 8-year-olds deleted hours after I asked for the course code. Are these the actions of a transparent teacher? Is the general counselor's response normal for teachers to respond this way? Please take a look at your kid's Schoology. I've listed the steps on actinaction.org on the Parent Empowered Parents tab. There are 6 easy steps I can tell you how to do this. And it'll only take 1 hour to find something that is CRT, political, or pro-vaccine. Just last week, a parent found a pro-vaccine video that said the pandemic would only be over if we all got vaxxed, and no mention of natural immunity. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Rebecca Wensenhoff.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca, and I wanted to thank the board for this opportunity to speak. Many people here, many people in the audience keep expressing gratitude towards teachers, towards board members, and I agree with all of that. One group that's been completely left out is our students. As we conclude another academic semester, which is now the 4th semester in the 3rd year impacted by the challenges of COVID, I want to say that I'm proud of your hard work and your resilience. I know that the last couple of years have been difficult. Trying to learn, grow, and define your identity is challenging enough as it is, but you have done it while complying with public health protocols, the uncertainty of natural disasters, the anxiety of social media, and the threat of gun violence. What a world you're growing up in. I hope you have a restful, joyous, and safe holiday, and I look forward to the start of another new year, and I'm extremely excited to celebrate the class of 2022. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Desiree Estala Lowe.
Wow, I'm surprised you got my name right. Most people don't. Good evening. My name's Desiree Estala, and I'm speaking on 2 things. The first one is off-campus PE. I request the inclusion of team sports. My son has been playing hockey since he was 5 years old, and he travels to other cities to compete and would greatly benefit for going to a morning skate out in Bel Air. The skate starts at 5:45 and ends at 7:15. The second thing is the school start time. I recently came across an article that says that adolescents need between 8 to 10 hours of sleep at night, and my middle schoolers get up about 6 o'clock in the morning. The article also stated that it's more difficult for adolescents to fall asleep before 11 p.m. because of all the hormones that are going through their bodies. And I would like the board to take into consideration for middle school and high school to possibly start around 8:30. And also with that, giving the families an education on the benefits of getting proper sleep and Other factors. I printed out some articles that have some information on that and some of the factors that would be good for these students. Can I leave that with you guys?
Certainly.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Judy DeHaan.
And I'm also, thank you, you got it this very easily this time on my last name, so I appreciate that. And good evening, everyone here and to the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you. Over the last several months, the board and community has recognized that there are shared goals and opportunities which can be realized for the advancement of CFISD academics. As mentioned on Thursday, our hope is that we can collaborate for the benefit of all of our children regarding policy changes and improvements, curriculum material, legislative requirements and changes, to just name a few. The benefits to be realized for the students, district, school board, and employees will be an increase in creativity, efficiency, involvement, job satisfaction, student attendance, and academic proficiency. There are many entities involved in the current educational process, as we know. The parent is the primary driver of ensuring their children receive the best education. It is incumbent upon these entities to acknowledge the importance of the role of the parent and adjust their focus and interactions accordingly. When roles and responsibilities are not clearly defined and communicated, redundancy and confusion can occur. We've seen TASB and NASB overstep their role and responsibilities of recent and identify parents as domestic terrorists when speaking out against CRT and pornographic curriculum. TASB has no jurisdiction and has only an advisory role in this process. Parents' rights were not part of the conversation when TASB signed off on the letter during the National Association sent to the DOJ. As a result, 26 states have distanced themselves to date. 12 states have put their child and parents first by actually withdrawing from the National School Board Association. What is the action plan then to seek out and engage parents in drafting the CFISD goals for 2021 and 22 and placing the parent as primary driver? As elected officials, your role and responsibility is to the families of Cy-Fair, and we look forward to the board taking the lead in this endeavor.
Our next speaker is Melissa Palomares.
Good job saying my name.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Palomares. I have lived in Cypress for almost 10 years and have 4 children from high school to elementary in Cy-Fair schools. I'm also a very active and wildly busy volunteer for my children's elementary campus. My passion being mostly for the Science Resource Center and the library, and which I am the volunteer chair for. Today, when I went to work in the elementary library, I found out a beloved book had been pulled from the children's hands, not the shelves, their actual hands. They were taken from the children who had checked them out while it's under review from the district. This particular book is one of Matt Krause's 850 books that he compiled a list for, claiming they might make students feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, and other forms of psychological distress after reading. Firstly, I'd like to say that this particular book, Drama by Raina Telgemeier, is so loved and so popular, we can't even keep it on the shelves for more than a few hours tops. It is constantly in rotation. There's lines for it all the time. Second, I would like to ask that the district please ask all librarians in the district, principals, parents, and students what their thoughts are on the matter before making a final decision on whether you're going to keep some of these books off of the shelves. 2 librarians giving their opinions does not represent the majority of the librarians or the students. We need to hear these children and the librarians who provide them with such a deep love of books and how they actually felt when reading it. I can tell you how my daughter felt after she read that book. She requested the entire series as a Christmas present back in the 4th grade.
Remember that inclusion and representation matters. Let's move forward, not back. And censorship is not forward thinking. Thank you.
There we are. We will now proceed with the consensus action items portion of the agenda. And before I go to the script, for the viewing audience, we utilize a consent and non-consent agenda. So during our work session, we'll go through each of these items. And if the board wants to move any of the items to the consent agenda, we do so. If the board, any one board member may move an item off the consent agenda to be non-consent. So the way this will proceed is I will read everything that has been moved to the consent agenda. I will then ask for a motion. I will ask for a second. After it's been made and seconded, the board can discuss the items on the consent agenda. After discussion has been held, we will then vote on the consent agenda. Items may be removed by the board from the consent agenda from the decision that was made last Thursday. So we'll proceed. 9A, the board will consider approving the minutes of the November 8th, 2021 regular board meeting. The board will consider approving the use of existing electronic signatures on all checks until the new plates for the Board of Trustees officers are received. 10B, the board will consider approving the administration's recommendation for the establishment of attendance boundaries for Elementary School 57 effective for the 2022-2023 school year. 10C, the board will consider approving the campus improvement plans for the 2021-2022 school year. 10D. The board will consider approving the shared service arrangement between Cypress-Fairbanks ISD and KPH Consolidation, Inc., doing business as HCA Houston Healthcare, North Cypress. 10E. The board will consider approving the attached list of facilities for off-campus physical education, Category 1, for the 2021-2022 school year. 10F. The board will consider awarding bids and contracts and or authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda item. The next items will be 10F1 through 10F9. I will read them sequentially. Automotive chemicals, parts and supplies, central packaging for nutrition services, cleaning supplies for nutrition services, CTE vocational lab supplies, equipment and housewares, electric service bucket and lift truck service, fine art supplies and equipment, musical instrument repair, point of sale system request for proposal, small wares for nutrition services. 10G. The board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from bond funds to the recommended contractor and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contract. 11G1, 2020 Food Production Center renovation. Now, if any board member wishes to remove one or more of these items for further discussion, please do so at this time. So before I ask for a motion, does any board member want to remove any of these items for further discussion? Hearing none, I will now entertain a motion to approve the consensus items as recommended or amended. So typically, I'll go ahead and say this since we have some new board members. So you would say, I move to approve the consensus items as recommended or amended.
Mr. President, I move to approve the consensus items as recommended or amended.
May I hear a second?
Second.
The motion has been made or seconded. This is the second time we can have discussion. Does any board member wish to discuss any of these items? The motion has been made and seconded. Hearing none, I will call for a vote. Will all board members who wish to approve the consent agenda do so and signify by raising your right hand? The motion passes. The following non-consensus action item remained on non-consensus. The board will consider approving the sale of the property previously declared a surplus located on Windfern Road near Campbell Middle School to Sci-Hope and authorize the superintendent or designee to negotiate the final terms of the sale and execute all contracts and related documents for closing. Are there any questions? May I have a motion to approve the non-consensus item as recommended or amended?
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the sale of the surplus property located on Windfern Road adjacent to Campbell Middle School to the highest bidder and authorize the superintendent or designee to negotiate the final terms of the sale and execute all contracts and any related documents for closing.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded, so we have a motion on the table. This is a second opportunity to have any discussion. Is there discussion? Hearing none, I will now call for a vote.
I think Dr. Blassingame had her
Oh,
hand up.
I'm sorry.
And
Dr.
looking
Blassingame.
at policy, CDB legal, just understanding when the sale of land is considered for the benefit of the school district, as far as budgeting in a year with a balanced budget. So I just raised that question about the what is the benefit to the district of the sale of the land?
And that's a good question. I was actually hoping that you would ask, or one of the new trustees would ask, because we declared it surplus back sometime. So we, and Mr. Sprague, whose office helps us manage all of our properties, including any surplus property we have, I definitely want him to chime in. But I recognize from the community's perspective, sometimes it's confusing, some of the details. We do have a few pieces of property across our district that either when we purchased, it was, part of a larger site and we didn't need to develop at all, or we thought we might need more for drainage than we did. But this site, and Roy will have the details on the specifics, has been unused site for quite some time, and we do every once in a while consider whether or not we will release and sell surplus property. It's always a concern when it's adjacent to an existing school site, and we hang on to them for sometimes, like the Wood Spillane, when we bought it from the Hagar family. We didn't need it all, but they only wanted to sell it in one big chunk, so we bought it all, and now we actually are putting another transportation facility, and honestly, 15 years ago when we bought that, I don't think we would have thought we would need that. But this is the shape and where it's been. Really, we've never sold it because you never, right next to a school site, you want to control what is there. So we did consider declaring it surplus, but we put significant restrictions on it, and that's in the backup. And so the board has the benefit of that, but for instance, community members may not. So I appreciate the question from the patron about, it's going to go right next door, the cost, when do we, just like you said, Dr. Blassingame, when do we sell? And so the significant restrictions that we put on it was it can only be for recreational use. And so we thought, if we've had this other situation next to an elementary school where a municipal utility district came in and built a walking track and a park. So we looked at it and we said, well, it's a benefit to the community in that area. It helps the property be useful, but we put significant enough restrictions on it from a deed restriction standpoint that we don't have to worry about, a mini mart going up next and, increasing traffic or something like that. And so when you put significant restrictions on a piece of property, it does affect the value from a appraisal standpoint. an easement, for instance, across a property can decrease it by as much as 50% in value. We put a deed restriction as far as we limited the use to recreational only. It would revert back to us if it were to be sold again, and that if it's not developed within, I can't remember, Roy,
5 years.
Within 5 years, then it would revert back to us. So that's the reason when we had this outside appraisal company give us a value, they said, well, with those types of restrictions, you've removed about 90% of the value. And so that's why they valued it and what you see in your backup. But this, the community partner that came in, we thought there might be some other, youth groups or some other community groups that might be interested in developing it, maybe a MUD. But the only group that we heard from was Sci-Hope. And as you all know, because you're familiar with that group, they do a significant amount of charitable work for students and families in our district. So that's why the administration, we recommended it as a win-win. But that property actually was declared surplus back during the summer when we looked at, well, if we could have a community partner develop it and make it something beneficial for the community in that area, we get some income for it. It doesn't sit vacant. But again, we were going to wait and see how the bids came back and if it was something that the board wanted to do. So that, Roy, I'm going to let you. I did a Roy Sprague. I talked without breathing. And normally it's Roy that talks without breathing.
Yeah, we also looked at it from a long-range facility plan standpoint, and that's the reason why it was recommended to be declared as surplus, because we do not see any future use from the district standpoint for that parcel.
And when was it declared excess?
It was June of this year. It was June 2021. I believe we came to the board for that.
And when you said it reverts back to the district council, what does that mean? We purchase it back at a higher price?
We would purchase it back. Did
at
we do
the same amount that we received.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It's a legal mumbo jumbo. It's called a reversionary interest, and so it actually attaches to the deed.
And I have one further question. What was the process for selecting the outside appraiser?
This appraisal firm we've used before, as recommended by Marnie in our past years, and they seem to be very well respected in the industry, and we selected them to perform the appraisal for us.
It's just a group that we've, what is their current name, Roy?
It's Integra Realty Services.
Okay.
It used to be JLL, and
okay,
they just changed names.
Switched. But they represent, they do appraisals for, on a lot of public entity property. So that's why I was familiar with them within the industry. But it's been quite a while since we've had to have
we haven't used them in a while.
Appraisal.
So just to be clear, very small minority of people could actually buy this piece of property because of the restrictions you put on this, the deed restrictions. If they do buy it, they don't develop the way we want it to, it comes back to us at a certain time period.
Yes, I would say the pool of people who would be likely interested in it, that developing it for recreational purposes, would be small. You're right, Mr. Henry. And that's part of the reason is that you want it
because
to be.
of where it sits and the location to our facilities.
We wanted to control that.
Right, which makes sense.
And that also makes sense why the appraisal value came in under market value, as one of our patrons mentioned. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Now, there's one other. Is this a review, and perhaps council would answer, is this a review done in public or is this in a closed session?
Well, we may have, I have to remember, Roy, there is a provision, I think it's 551.072. That where you can discuss the value of real property and the purchase of real property in closed session. And so we may have discussed some of the that in closed session, but any action, and then I think we did have some discussion in open session. I'm going to have to go back and refresh my memory, Mr. Jackson. But the value part would have been enclosed. Yes, sir.
And I can't really talk about it because it's in closed session and it's illegal to talk about what's in closed session other than it happened. And they were fairly robust conversations. And at some point in time, all seven of us, the new board, would go back in closed session. I can't tell anybody about what we talked about. They are robust. And questions that community members will have, we ask. But I just can't tell you what we asked. Are there further questions or comments? Hearing none, we do have a motion on the table that has been seconded. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. The motion has passed.
Mr. President, I abstain from voting.
Thank you for noting that for the record.
And for the record, Ms. Blackshear does not have a personal conflict, so she wouldn't, under the local government code, wouldn't have to abstain, but she wanted to just so that there was transparency. She elected to do that. I did not advise her to do that.
And now we will proceed with the superintendent's briefing portion of the agenda.
Last one of 2021. The 12th Annual Houston Methodist Cy Hoops Invitational wrapped up on Saturday, December 11th at the Berry Center. The 24-team boys basketball tournament helped raise funds for the Cy-Fair Educational Foundation, which provides student scholarships and staff development grants. McKinney High School won first place in the three-day tournament. As said earlier, they were actually ranked number 3 in the state and beat Seyfalls by 1 point in the championship game. CFISD schools and facilities will be closed December 20th through the 31st for winter break. Monday, January 3rd will be a professional day, and students will return on Tuesday, January 4th. And certainly I wish everyone a safe and restful holiday break. During the break, as I always do, I want to remind everyone celebrating the New Year's festivities that fireworks are prohibited on school district property. The CFISD Police Department will patrol the district's premises during the holiday season. Citizens who observe such violations or requested contact CFPD dispatch at 832-237-2373. Just a couple of more things that I want to say, and I would say to Mr. Meyer, just last year we had a rabbi that presented a prayer at our board meeting, and certainly anyone who's interested in praying before our meetings, if they'll contact Miss Sims, she'll be glad to get you in the rotation. And then secondly, I would say I hope all of you will continue to remember the poor folks in Mayfield, Kentucky, and other areas who have just experienced devastating losses, not only to their communities, but to loss of life. And I would say, and I was thinking about it this weekend, I said, we've got lots of little problems here and there, but there was an old song we used to sing when I was growing up, and it was called Count Your Blessings. And I think if all of us added up the blessings on the plus chart and the minus chart, I think the plus chart would come out higher than the minus chart. So we might have little differences, but we have so much more to be thankful for. And we're blessed to be part of this community. I'm proud to be working with this board and this school district. I'm proud of the team and these wonderful people over here to the left who support our campuses and who run our campuses every day, and those that are not required to be here this evening also. So I could stretch this out another hour and 20 minutes, but I won't do that. I'll let y'all get home. And parents and community members, thank you for being here today. I appreciate you, and God bless you. Thank you.
Wait, I'll do it again. We are now adjourned. Thank you.